Hot 7 TV. Here's your guide to installing Hot 7's digital antenna.
Please note that all TV sets manufactured today have a digital tuner. TV sets manufactured before the year 2005 may not have a built-in digital tuner, and you may not be able to receive our free-to-air digital transmission on Channel 7 to receive our free over-the-air digital HD TV service. Number 1. Plug your antenna into your TV set's RF input jack labeled antenna or cable in. Number 2. You will now have to scan for the digital channel. Please note that all digital TVs are different in terms of scanning procedures. The following is a general guide, but the steps or the terminology may be different for your device. Press the menu button on your TV remote. Go to Setup or Settings. Go to Installation or System or Channels. Go to Scan Channels, Program Channels, Auto Scan, Auto Program, or Auto Tuning. Press Select or Enter or OK to start the scan. When the device says scanning is complete, accept the channels found and close the menus.
You're watching St. Lucia's only 100% digital television station, Hot 7 TV.
Good evening, and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Election Countdown. You are with me, Rachel, and I am alongside my co-host, Mr. H. Of course, this episode is being simulcast on 7 TV and Kiss FM. You can watch this program also on 17 Kiss FM, Caribbean Hot, on the Caribbean Hot TV HD app, the Caribbean Hot TV Facebook page, and the Hot 7 TV and Play digital antenna. We will be with you for the next 2 hours. The first hour we'll be discussing the 45 candidates set to contest St. Lucia's general election in the next 6 days. And on the next hour, we will be taking calls from you to give us your election prediction and tell us what do you think of the various candidates.
C'est ici, bon, c'est bienvenue pour l'autre côté nous garder pour l'élection 2025, election countdown. C'est Henix Joseph, et puis mon gars, Mr. H, et puis moi là, et puis Mademoiselle Régine Montout qui sortait constituency Gozélé. Et programme ça là, on ça joint ça aussi à ce PSFM, non, à ce Hot 70, ou ça à ce Plug and Play, ou ça joint ça à ce mobile app là, ou ça à ce média social, Facebook page nous là, et puis Hot 7 TV Plug and Play. Nous avons des éditeurs côté nous avons gardé ça qui est pour l'élection 2025 qui en 7 jours encore et puis aussi en 2 jours nous avons élection côté nous élection là en CBC. Et bien pour oublier les lignes là ouvertes ça pour nous à 5007 450 0777. S'il vous plaît, moi je ça oui et puis notre des éditeurs ouais remote ça là pas toucher. Fait c'est on est de l'eau, on est café, on est whisky, on est ça on est parce que comme ça bagay chaud also yeah. Regine.
Yes, thank you very much for the introduction, Henix. And like I said, we want to discuss the 45 candidates that have presented themselves to contest Lucia's general election. And just to make it clear, Henix, are you contesting this election? Just wanted to verify to make sure, because this is a lot. These 45 candidates.
Richard, Maté mettez non à sous papier ballot là. Non, moi pas candidat.
Just making sure to make sure you're not one of the 45, because it's very possible maybe in the future we might see Hendrik Joseph.
Hendrik Charles, a very region candidate too, eh?
No candidate for me, but we want to start in Grozile, and I want to discuss the two candidates that have presented themselves in Grozile. We have, of course, representing the St. Lucia Labour Party, you have the Kazimi and his LPB, or how should I say, life before politics. He saw himself as a youth officer, sports journalist, and radio announcer. Mr. Kazimi also possesses a master's degree in mass communication. That is the candidate representing under the St. Lucia Labour Party. We now move on to the other candidate for Grozile representing the United Workers' Party, Mistress Marcella Johnson. Before politics, saw herself as a senior banker entrepreneur, and she also possesses a master's degree in finance. These are the two candidates that have brought themselves forward to represent, to contest the Grozile seat in this coming election.
Okay, so Colton Sarejando l'année des moun tout ça qui a contesté Grozile, constituency Grozile, Kenson Joel Kazime, qui s'était intéressé avant d'entrer en politique. Il s'était travaillé puis département jeunesse et puis sport. Il aussi a fait un entraînement en mass communications journalism. Et pour nous, Marcella Adele Johnson, avant Marcella entré en politique, c'est bien avant il commençait à aller en business même. Il c'était un monde qui fait un pile travail, un pile temps en affaires secteur banque en cette ici. Maintenant, il fait ça et puis c'est lui qui a représenté partisan. Lui qui a représenté partisan Flabo. Maman chok que Marcella. But Richard, let nous regarder des candidats là. Nokara Kenson, who's a very young candidate, and Marcella, she is not young. I mean, well, relatively, Marcella should be in her late 40s, maybe in her early 50s. What is your take? How do you see those two candidates vis-a-vis each other, and what say you on them? Kenson is in. He won the last election by over 2,000 votes, defeating Leonard Montot, who also won Emma by over 2,000 votes, and Kenson was able to come and turn this thing over and win by 2,000 votes. What's your take?
I think the Grozile seat, of course, is a very interesting seat to look at. Of course, you have the two candidates, how should I say, two narratives working. Kenson, who is the younger candidate and can move on the youth vote. Miss Johnson, who is also a female and could also move to collecting the women's vote. So it would be a very interesting battle and dynamic to see these two candidates, especially coming from non-traditional backgrounds. I would want to say, though, that something I noted while the various candidates, we've seen a dynamic shift where back in the day in St. Lucian politics, you would have seen a lot of lawyers and school teachers really taking the front running in terms of putting themselves forward for a seat. And now we're seeing a shift where we have many individuals from very diverse backgrounds coming forward to present themselves. I must say that both candidates are very well educated within their fields, and of course come with a wealth of experience in their various pockets. So the Grozile seat, of course, will be very interesting to see whether Mr. Kazime can hold on to those 2,000 votes, or will we see a swing from those 2,000 votes to that of Miss Johnson. Again, it is a seat, most definitely a seat to watch, in that especially for me being part of the constituency. And we look forward to a very rigorous battle. I know the candidates have been working very hard in Grozile. If you walk inside Grozile, I can tell you the street is painted red and yellow.
That's a very interesting observation that you made there, because in times gone by, you had a lot of lawyers presenting themselves as candidates. But in recent times, I don't think in this slate of candidates, I don't think we have any lawyers this time.
No.
Besides, if you look at the candidates, I think besides
we have one candidate who studied law.
Mikud North, is it? Yeah. Okay, so we have Bickford North. We have Marius Wilson.
Yes, who's
He's
an attorney.
the only attorney, so to speak. Besides that, the others are from very
And
diverse.
well, Stanley Felix, who's
And Richard
Yes.
Frederick. Okay?
Yes.
So these are the three known lawyers that are on the battlefield. But yes, very interesting observation. You had a lot of lawyers before, but
Yes.
now you have teachers,
You have bankers,
you have business
business
people,
people.
civil servants.
It says a lot about our dynamics and how the dynamic is shifting from the traditional go study law and then end up in politics to where anybody from any profession can step forward and put their hat in the ring. So,
Oh, and no, wearing my red shirt tonight, that does not say anything. Okay.
I know
Before you ask, no, my red shirt this evening does not mean anything. At times I love wearing red. It depends on my mood. It depends on how I feel. Let me not say the mood.
I like that you said that. It depends on your mood. Don't worry, Henix is going to the manifesto launch later this evening. Right now, I think that the Labour Party is on the SAB right now launching their manifesto. And very exciting time. I know that UWP launched their manifesto last night.
Sunday.
Sunday. Oh, yes. Today is Tuesday, so you're right. So on Sunday in Dennery.
And tomorrow we're going to be taking a deep dive
into the two manifestos,
which I call the Holy Grail or the Bible of the two political parties.
So it will be very interesting, and you would want to lock in for tomorrow's show as we dissect the two manifestos. But we want to continue along with the rest of the candidates. We're going to move now into Babono. And on the UWP ticket for Babono, you have Leo Titus Preville, who's a former permanent secretary and former director at CARICOM, who also holds a master's in economics. And on the SLP ticket, running on the SLP ticket, you have John Paul Estefan, who's an educator by profession and also holds a master's in education.
Oui, sonné, nous avons là des candidats qui ont fait combat, John Paul Estefan, qui s'est fait, Edmond Estefan, qui c'était membre parlement pour le Sud, à sous un ticket flambeau. Et puis, nous avons dit la semaine passée, il parle encore, il s'est les bas, parce qu'il dit, il a supporté foi actuellement. Et puis, nous avons aussi Leo Titus Preville. Leo, c'est un homme qui a travaillé en pile, et puis le gouvernement, il fait toute la vie. Le gouvernement. Et puis, là, il est entré en retraite au gouvernement. Il était avec un directeur CARICOM en Barbade. Côté, il s'était, il y en a ce géographe là qui a regardé à dedans un chai policy développement en Caribla, développement en région. Et puis, John Paul Estefan, c'était un homme, qui a fait un peu l'étude. Et puis, il a fait entraînement by monde qui a entraînement en mathématiques. Et puis, moi, apprendre qu'il a fait assez bien. Et puis, c'est mon qui a dit comme ça, il a marché en département ça là. Donc, si c'est lui qui gagne, eh bien, nous allons regarder si ça fait en différence. Est-ce qu'il s'amène, ça, il joint, ça, il nie en dedans secteur éducation. Eh bien, si c'est M. Preville, qui ça, M. Preville, ça fait pour s'amener, parce que le moi à côté, un pile parole, M. Preville qui a parlé. Et puis, M. Preville, il dit qu'il a pu faire un pile travail, dans affaires menées, CARICOM, venir ensemble, un pile travail à sous policy, côté un trade, puis CARICOM, et CARICOM, en ces pays, venir ensemble, regardez qui manière, il a mené toute recherche, venir ensemble, mené policy, venir ensemble, pour ça développer, et bien avancer, cause CARICOM ensemble.
And of course, we're looking at the Babono seat as one of the seats that has traditionally, over its existence, has said which party takes over the country. So in Babono's history, we have only one election ever where the color of Babono didn't predict the color of the country. So of course, it's a very hot seat to look at, because if tradition has its way, the color of Babono would determine the color of the country. So we're looking at Babono for that. And looking at underground, I know it's another very heavy battle there. Both candidates are really having it out, because both of them want to bring home that particular seat as well to their parties. But moving on, we're going on to Castries North, and this is where it gets a bit interesting, where we have 5 candidates contesting the Castries North seat. First and foremost, we have independent candidate Marcellus Stead. I hope I'm pronouncing that last name.
Marcellus Steed.
Steed.
Steed, yes.
Marcellus Steed.
Steed.
Ah, right. Thank you for that correction. Contesting independent candidate. His life before politics saw him as a business manager and author. He also possesses a master's degree in business management. We now have another independent candidate, Brenda Edwin. Brenda Edwin saw herself before politics as a business consultant and financial controller, also holding a master's in finance and marketing. Then we have the incumbent, who is also representing as an independent candidate, Stevenson King, who is a senior politician and formerly a legal clerk. This is what he did prior to politics. I could not get too much information in terms of his educational background.
He went to, I could tell you, he went to the Seventh Day Adventist Academy.
Seventh-day Adventist
Yes.
Academy. Okay, there we have it. And going up on the UWP ticket, we have Stephen Favrier, who before politics, he was a international trade advisor.
Career diplomat.
Diplomat, yes, career diplomat, who possesses a master's in laws, specializing in international commercial law. And finally, we have, and interestingly, we have the incoming of a new party, which is the National Congress Party. And in that party, we have representing, or going up for Castries North, we have Jenna Matthew. I could not find much information on Miss Matthew, on her background or anything of that sort. So we're hoping that the Congress Party can at least put out something on their candidates so that we can discuss. But very interestingly, 5 candidates going up for Castries North. It seems to be a very hot seat, a seat that persons are really looking at. And not only just that, but 3 of them are independent. What are your thoughts on that, Henix?
Eh bien, le cas des Castries Nord, donc on a des 5 candidats. En parmi ces 5-là, il dit, yo indépendant. On est Marcellus Backsteed, indépendant. Et puis, ça qui symbolise c'est Kayla. On est Brenda Edwin, qui est indépendant, Lego Win. On est Stephen John Favrier, qui est là pour partisan Flabo. On est Stevenson King, indépendant, qui est Powersol. Et puis, on est un partisan National Congress Party. On est Jenna Melissa Matthew. Et puis, quand on dit, nous n'avons pas d'informations à ce Jenna Melissa Matthew. Mais l'autre, premier toit, donc, on a Marcellus Steed, Brenda Edwin et puis Stephen John Favrier. Tous les 3, c'est mon sage à faire. Go études, ils tous ça nous regarde en anglais master's degree. Là, nous regardons Marcellus Steed, c'est un monde qui est en business. Aussi, Brenda Edwin, aussi, c'est un femme en business. Et puis, là, c'est, vous savez, Brenda, c'était qu'à campagne, et puis Stevenson King, à la dernière élection, she campagne de Stevenson King. Now, Marcellus a dit comme ça, il est indépendant, mais il est un membre partisan Labour. Et puis, il pas Jay Carter qui les garde performance King pour faire rien. Et puis, ça, King dit, c'est patriote là, il est en mouvement. Et puis, il dit, il est très désappointé. Et puis, il travaille, c'est ce qu'il a fait. Et puis, c'est pour ça, il même camouté pour être indépendant, mais il plie c'est les bas. King a dit, il parle les bas, et c'est the blue wave. Il coulait blé. Et puis, Stephen John Favrier, c'est un homme qui a travaillé tout partout à la terre. Et c'était un diplomate. Il tout partout, qui a aidé tout partout, un pile monde à de diverses organisations tout partout à la terre. Et puis, on est, National Congress Party, ça a symbolisé, c'est clair. C'est ça, c'est côté, on est Castries North, ça, c'est côté, on est plus candidat, on est 5 candidats. Bon, Richard, do you think those 5 candidates will be impacting or would affect one or the other more prominent, say, Stevenson King and Stephen Favrier?
Honestly, if we have to look at the trends and look at the history, I don't think so. And again, That's my opinion. I don't think that they would come back. I still believe that the fight is really between the incumbent and the United Workers' Party. I think St. Lucia, especially looking at the patterns of our voting, especially the introduction of a new political party, St. Lucians have not really gravitated to that idea as yet in terms of our voting patterns. And also I could say the same for independent candidates. I think well, outside of the incumbent Stephenson King and Richard Frederick, prior to that, we've never seen really an independent candidate winning a seat.
That was, you had those independent candidates winning back in the early
the 60s, right? That was before St. Lucia's independence. And I think the only person who came close in recent times would have been Janine Compton.
Janine Compton, yeah.
Came the closest to being an independent candidate. And then again, it still brings forward the question, because these independent candidates would have sat as ministers within a government of a specific political party. So these independent candidates would have broken out from a party to become independent and then win their seat. So it really begs the question, are St. Lucians really ready to vote for or vote for a truly independent candidate? That question is still lying, and we will see whether in this general election, as elections is on the day, you really cannot tell. We can predict based on trends and history, but you really cannot to see whether this election will be the election where we see any change to those trends.
Après mon cas dit que ça, Marcel Stide, ici en même partisan l'étoile, et puis mon cas dit peut-être il s'apprête un pile vote Rod Stephenson King, parce que pour oublier Stephenson King, il pas même les bas. Richard Frederick a une application pour les bas, mais King dit que ça, il pas jamais une application pour les bas, il pas les bas, il c'est un membre indépendant. Magoué, il a assise un cabinet et puis partisan l'étoile. Il c'est un collègue ciblé. Et puis tout partout où il a allé, en toutes ces rallyes, en toutes ces launchings, partisan les Bacani, Stephenson King toujours là et puis blé. Ok, tout le monde est Stephenson King, especially Madame Blé, toujours blé.
It's still, and again, yes, just as you said, Stephenson King as well, although he identifies as a patriot, identifies his political colors as blue, we still recognize and see him on the Labour Party train and platforms and rallies. So, to question whether we actually have independent candidates. And yes, so let's move on. Let's move on to Castries East. Castries East, going back to the typical narrative of only two candidates running. On the UWP ticket, we have Mr. Peter Chico, who saw himself as a comptroller at one point in his life.
Acting comptroller.
Acting controller?
Yes.
Okay, corrected on that note. And then the incumbent and also current Prime Minister, Philip J. Pierre, who prior to politics saw himself as a finance professional, and he also holds an MBA. Very interestingly, that we're seeing a lot of the candidates who are putting themselves forward for these elections are actually qualified at the graduate level. A lot of them possess master's degrees. So it's I guess refreshing to see that at least the persons who are putting themselves forward are specialized within a particular field of study, which is supposed to be a good thing, as our parliamentary representatives are also those who sit in cabinet. It's very, you know, we have to differentiate. There is a differentiation between a parliamentary representative who represents the seat, who represents the constituency, and a minister of government who deals with policy and programming for a specific ministry, national ministry in St. Lucia. So,
le travail côté pour Castries, ça c'est côté comme Marshall, Bagatelle, El Chipo, Wavin Chabot, et c'est côté ça là. Adam Forestier, Rocher, et c'est côté ça là. Nous avons côté donné Premier ministre là, on est Philippe J. Pierre, qui l'a représenté partisan l'étoile. Et puis Peter Denise Chico, qui est candidat pour partisan là-bas. M. Chico, c'était un homme qui a travaillé en customs, à la douane. Ici, et puis c'est lui qui a fait Rod Premier Ministre là. Dernier monde qui est venu plus près, c'était ça. Fortune faire combat des fois. Et puis là, il y a une autre madame qui sortit chez Servant. Et puis, il était venu. Mais ça, c'est 6e coup. Philippe Leclerc Kaibou.
Once again, our government is showing you
Maintenant, dans mon
leadership
dit, ça
matters
c'est dernier
and
terme.
putting people first
Après ça,
is at the bedrock of our party. Our Prime Minister has put money aside for nursing students so that they can get educated, so that we can have more nurses to care for us, to care for our well-being. Because we know healthcare is not a St. Lucian issue. Healthcare is a national, a global issue. Sorry. And our Prime Minister is leading the way and saying to St. Lucians, more than just talk, we're putting our money
and
where
now
our
again we're
mouth
moving
is.
along to Castries Central, and in Castries Central we see 4 candidates presenting themselves to run the 2025 general election. On the UWP ticket we have Mr. Rosh Clark, his life before politics, he saw himself as a quantity surveyor, and he also holds a bachelor's degree in quantity surveying. We also see 2 independent candidates, first of all starting with Mr. Stanley Felix, who has indicated his party colors to be orange and his party symbol to be the spoon. Stanley Felix is an attorney by profession, and of course, although I didn't get his exact qualification, we can assume that since he's a registered lawyer in St. Lucia, he does possess at least a bachelor's in law. Similarly, we have an independent candidate, Mr. Richard Frederick, another lawyer by profession and also very popular social media personality with his social media program slash TV program. And a similar case where I couldn't find exact qualification, but of course being a registered lawyer in St. Lucia, it is very to assume that he has at least a bachelor's degree in law. We see the incoming or the upcoming National Party again showing themselves to seat in Castries Central. We have Mr. Andre Matthew, who is a medical doctor by profession, but something very interesting that I noted, Henix, I guess my digging went a bit too deep, and I noted that Mr. Andre Matthew is actually the husband to Miss Jenna Matthew, who's running the Castries North seat. So you have a husband and wife dynamic happening there in Castries Central and Castries North. I guess my digging just went a bit too deep there.
Il est allé fort parce que c'est ça où tu es supposé faire parce que là où Vénétia
we have
ça nous
delivered.
a présenté
And
ici
so,
nous
beyond
présenté information
healthcare,
pour
we have
nous
delivered an we have delivered an
et puis quand tu as
economic
dit
transformation.
nous actuellement
And the people on
Castries
Facebook don't
Central
ever let
ça
me
c'est
forget
côté
about youth
habitant
economy.
ville là
And I will
pour
take
aller
a
de trois
moment to
côtés
speak
sans
about
souci
youth economy.
pour aller monde dedans à de la pension
Did you
après
ever hear
Rivière
anything
pour
about the
après
youth
Riverside
economy?
Road Leslie Land et
Did
puis
you ever hear
c'est côté ça là
an
et puis l'année
agency
4 candidats
dedicated
l'année
to
nombre
young
qui a
people for
représenté
economic
là
development?
ouais il va représenter parce que pas ni nombre de personnes qui a représenté parce que le gouverneur général ça
And
attiré tout le monde qui a
as a
représenté
matter of fact,
mais c'est lui qui
today,
ministre
the youth
ministre
economy
en
for the
ministre
third
et c'est lui qui a
time has hosted a youth
responsabilité pour faire caille à cette ici
beyond
et puis
giving
aussi
young
pour
people rights and
gouvernement
the youth
local
economy
ça c'est
agency
honorable Richard
has been
Frederick
working
qui c'est
assiduously
indépendant
train young
et ça il dit
aspiring
nous aussi
entrepreneurs
M. Roche Clark
to
qui a
mentor
représenté
young
partisan
aspiring
Flambeau
entrepreneurs to
nous
ensure
Félix qui
that
est
beyond
indépendant
the money,
un avocat
they know how
qui
to
courait
grow
pour
their
laisser
business.
Orange et
They
puis
know how
football
to sell
ici
their business.
Chouillet
They know
ou
how to
aussi
develop customer
André
service
Robert
skills.
Matthew
They know
qui
about
NCP
doing
National
their
Congress
business
Party
plans.
qui a représenté
This
la
is a
CREA
prime
et
minister
puis
who
ça
cares.
Régent Teka c'est Gina Melissa Matthew et puis André Robert Matthew je sais madame ça c'est un partisan là il fait commencer je dis il gagne un gros launching parce que je n'ai tous 17 candidats mais qu'on a c'est des candidats tout seuls je dis madame avec monsieur John Kamouté là pour North Castries et puis l'autre là Cabine là Castries Central habitant Ville Castries.
Yes. And very interesting. So very interesting dynamics to happen in this election. And we're moving on to Castries South. And Castries three candidates putting themselves forward for the 2025 election. First of all, we're starting with the independent candidate, David Hood.
Video for the night.
The only information I could have found out on Mr. Hood is that he's some sort of consultant. And running on the SLP ticket, we have the incumbent, Dr. Nesile. Dr. Nesile, his life before politics as a former permanent secretary, diplomat, and CEO to West Indies Cricket. He holds a PhD in international relations. And we have on the UWP ticket, Tommy Descat. Tommy Descat, before politics, saw himself as an economist and analysis. He holds a master's degree in economics as well, working for the Caribbean Development Bank amongst many other regional entities.
Ok, donc regardez un Castries Sud, là, les trois mondes qui ont monté, David et Head, moi pas jamais, tenez moi pour reporter, moi pas qui m'ont payé, il est indépendant, et puis c'est sous. On est docteur honorable Nesile qui c'est deuxième chef partisan Léba, et puis aussi M. Tommy Hogarth Descat qui a fait combat par les partisans Flambeau. Donc on sait docteur, il est l'autre docteur, on sait, c'est pas, il n'est pas un docteur médical, mais il c'est docteur côté, il a fait un pile étude, et puis il a fait un pile étude, il a allé, il a fait docteur, so, il a un PhD, après sa PhD, il est un docteur, et puis avant d'entrer politique, il s'était, à d'un temps, il s'était un secrétaire général, National Youth Council. Après ça, il allait travailler, il s'était un gouvernement, il s'était un secrétaire permanent en sport. Après ça, il s'était à GoGuef, en cricket West Indies. Là, il a fait préparation pour World Cup 2007. Et puis, il s'était un diplomate côté. Il s'était représenté cette ici en Angleterre. Et puis, c'est l'année là qui allait toujours, Rovergate. Côté, il a dit, M. Hiller, il y a des machines, et puis il mène des descend comme sali, mais machines, ça là, c'est ça, c'est ici, et puis il y a go avocat, go bagay, ça y a et puis toutes ces matières, ça là, et puis nous avons espéré qui ça qui a fait, les bagailles, ça là, qui manière bagaille, ça là, qui aller. So, on est trois mondes qui ont là. Castries ça. Mais quand on laisse ça c'est là pour nous pour antipause. Donc, à nous pas qui roule ça, qui était côté, il n'y a pas touché. Parce que l'ennemi, nous avons regardé qui ça qui a fait en Lanslawe, Canawi, Souffre, et puis c'est les autres côté. So, don't touch the dial. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
St. Lucia 7 TV was the first to bring you a full HD newscast. Now, here's a first. The Hot 7 Nightly News is now your first newscast for the evening in right. The Hot 7 Nightly News is now at 7:15. Yes, tune in at 6:45 p.m. and you happening in the world. On the run, on your cell phone or tablet via Caribbean Hot FM app. Objective journalism. Get fresh, get hot. The Hot 7 Nightly News. Watch us on channel 117 on Flow, channel 7 Plug and Play. Follow us on Facebook Live on Caribbean Hot 7.
From your bed to your table, whether taking a well-deserved break, top stories, breaking news, all in one place. Monday to Friday at 12 p.m. for Hot 7 News. You the latest headlines from St. Lucia and around. Stay informed only on Hot 7.
Did you know that while you important news breaking all around you, from politics to weather updates, community stories, and breaking news? Hot 7 TV informed with news every hour. Don't wait second hand. Ahead. With Hot 7 TV St. Lucia. The hour. Wherever you are. Hot 7 TV on the air, on our and on our website.
Looking for the best way to advertise? Stop searching. Hot 7 TV gives you more impact and more value. Get your business from right on us and watch your sales soar. Don't miss out. Call 6040 today and take advantage of our exclusive advertising packages. Hot 7 advertising for smart.
You can take Hot FM, Kiss FM, Hot 7 TV with you wherever you go. Whether you're in St. Lucia or exploring our four corners of the globe, our record-breaking app has already been downloaded over 500,000 times on Google Play and the Apple App Store. To bring you the sound, we've relaunched a brand new app. Get it in the App Store by simply searching Hot FM HD. Listen to it in real time, anywhere, any place, anytime. We've added so many cool new features like in-studio option, where you can see your favorite announcements and download the app today. It's new. Lucia is now in edge on the Hot FM app. Check this out. Join the fun and stay connected.
And welcome back to Election Countdown. Again, you are with me, Rajan Montut, alongside my co-host, Mr. Alex Joseph. This program is being simulcast on Hot 7 TV, Kiss FM. You can also watch this program on Channel 117 on Flow, Kiss FM, the Caribbean Hot TV HD app, the Caribbean Hot TV Facebook page, and the Hot 7 TV plug and play digital antenna. We're keeping it hot on Election Countdown. We have just covered a few of the constituencies, breaking down the candidates, who they are, and just presenting to you what the candidates bring to the table. We're now moving on into ancillary, and on ancillary we have going up under the UWP ticket Dominic Fede. Dominic Fede sees himself as a regional communication expert and tourism professional. He possesses a master's in international broadcasting and journalism. Also, running up against Dominic Fede, you have the incumbent under the SLP, Mr. Wayne Girard. Mr. Wayne Girard as a banker and consultant and possesses a bachelor's in business and law. You only have two candidates going up for the ancillary seat. And these two individuals, not only did they are facing each other in the 2025 election, but they saw each other facing off in the 2021 election. So it will be very interesting to see the dynamic played out here. When Mr. Wayne Girard won in 2021, he was a newcomer into the political defeating the incumbent Dominic Fede. We now see Dominic Fede returning to see whether he can reclaim that seat. What are your thoughts on ancillary, Henix?
Ancillary, can I say your constituency qui est intéressant. Et puis nous avons les deux candidats, Dominic Fede et puis Wayne Girard. Wayne Girard sorti à place là même, Girard et Bekakima, tout c'était gouvernement de fait. Bon l'église là, Dominic Fede. Dominic Fede a travaillé un pile en leasing tourism, il fait un peu le travail, et puis Sanders avant il a tué en politique. Lost Canary, c'est pas Lost Canary, tout seul, on est des plico communes, on est pour des Lost Canary, on est Ozo, Jackmel, Montsizo, Mondo, Vanna, Millet, Tetchime, tout ce qu'on a ça, Venus, et puis Cavier, descend Lost Canary. Et puis, it was intéressant. Il fait des lives premier coup, il gagne, et puis Wayne vient, et puis Wayne vient première fois, Wayne gagne, et puis Wayne c'est un ministre cabinet Philippe Jepier, et puis c'est un ministre en dedans, ministre qui est responsabilité pour finance, est-ce que pour youth economy, et puis police, et puis la douane, ouais, toutes ces bagailles, ça là, c'est liquiding responsibility, ça là. It's quite interesting because the ancillary canneries is one of those marginal seats, and the pundits are saying that this is a seat that is up for grabs. There was a lot of complaint, a lot of talk about Win being a minister or a parliamentary representative in absentia. Je vais regarder le parti qui a Win et puis comme ça. Bon, samedi, moi j'étais aux eaux, et puis aller parler, bagaille. Yo, c'est mon dit, oui, ça, oui, nous parlons, là, c'est, il fait travail. Massab. Et puis ça, c'est dans ces places-là pour nous regarder qui ça qui a aller, qui est est-ce que Wayne Gerard a fait assez de travail pour ça retourner comme membre parlement? Et bien, est-ce que FED qui était là avant, est-ce que FED actuellement, c'est mon réalisé qui, hey, nous avons chez Dominique Fédé, qui dit, qui dit que Cocolorum? Qui dit que Cocolorum? Et puis, est-ce que ça vie précis ça là, by partisan? Flabo, comme ça, c'est lui qui deuxième leader politique au niveau de BC qui est leader politique, Guy Joseph qui c'est premier, et puis Dominique Fédé, c'est deuxième leader partisan politique pour Flabo.
So very interesting that Ancillary seat. We're looking at whether the incumbent will hold or whether we will see the resurgence of Dominic Fédé claiming that seat. Moving right along down the coast, we're going into Sulphur City, Soufrière. Soufrière sees only two candidates. Again, the traditional St. Lucia Party and United Workers Party. Running underneath the St. Lucia Labour Party, you have the incumbent, Emma Hippolyte. Interestingly, for Soufrière, not much was available via the internet on the background of these two candidates. However, I did note that Emma Hippolyte was in her past life.
Audit.
Right? And not too much in terms of what exact qualifications she holds in that as well. And Harold Stanislas, a similar situation where not much information could have been found on him. Do you know what Harold did prior to politics?
Harold était un leasing tourism. C'était un taxi driver. Il était aussi tenu bateau côté était enfin tout travail était fait leasing tourism. Emma Konosav à d'un temps Emma c'était directeur audit. Il était à travailler à NIC et puis après le monde dit c'est lui qui était vous savez non tenu 60 l'année pour des mais c'est lui qui était mené sorti 60 l'année pour 65 l'année. Et puis aussi, Emma était monté contre Spider et puis il était gagné par 6 votes. Et puis Spider vient gagner par 10 000 et check vote. Et puis il quittait Gozile, il est seul Soufrière et puis il bat Herod. Now, that seat is the seat that SLP won the seat marginally, less than 100 votes. And this is the seat again. I believe that we need to watch very closely as to what is happening, as whether Emma has done enough to retain that seat for the St. Lucia Labour Party, or whether could convince the people of Soufrière Fossejac, so that to regain that seat. And when we say Soufrière Fossejac, well, we know where Soufrière starts from Kachime, going all the way back to Fossejac, and of course goes up to Myers Bridge. So
interesting also to highlight about the Soufrière seat. Over the last few election cycles, they've been literally just changing color like a switch.
Yeah, and Walter François was the first candidate to have actually won that seat twice. In all of Soufrière's history, was always, you change one term. Walter François, when he came in, he changed that, and also won that seat twice. So interesting to see if Emma could keep with tradition, or whether Soufrière is going to break tradition or keep tradition, and that Emma can retain that seat, or whether Herod could convince the people to put her back. So like I said, this is a seat that is that the St. Lucia Labour Party won marginally. So therefore, that seat is also up for grabs. So we have to wait and see.
Right, and I think it was one of the most surprising seats over the last election as well. I think that nobody saw it coming, especially given that Emma Hippolyte ran in Gros, won, then lost, and then ran in Soufrière again, won. That was a very surprising thing. We don't see that very often playing. You know, we saw that in the 70s and 80s where politicians could have jumped from constituency to constituency to win or lose a seat. However, Ms. Hippolyte seems to have been able to do so. Very interesting to see whether, like Sarah said, whether she can keep it and have that 2 turn years within Soufrière, which is not a very common thing, and also whether Herod will come back and win the seat and continue Soufrière's tradition of changing every election cycle. At least for the past 4 to 5 election cycles, we've seen that trend there in Soufrière. All right, so we're going on to Soisel. On the UWP ticket, we have John Bradley Felix, who is the incumbent, and Mr. Felix saw himself, his life before politics, as a career banker and holds qualifications within professional banking. And he's going up against a newcomer into the St. Lucian political atmosphere, Kiefer Charles. Not much information could have been found on Mr. Charles. Do you have anything from your side?
Must have Kiefer qu'il faut que calculer et qu'il travaille et puis le select évidemment quoi il c'est un electrician par profession et puis nous John Bradley Felix. Bon j'aime regarder Bradley Felix mais pour maintenant c'est John.
John, yeah, that was surprising.
Mon pas dit John Felix, il cadeau Bradley Felix et ben Flex. Et puis c'est lui qui a monté il gagne c'est ça by Flabo à dernière élection. Question c'est est-ce que Bradley ça vient c'est ça by partisan Flabo et bien est-ce que Kiefer Charles il a monté by partisan là-bas est-ce que il s'agaye bon Kiefer Charles c'était Bourgouef Dr. Charles.com ma social comme ça il était pile musique tout partout so il sorti Soisel so il sorti Soisel qui fait combat en Soisel et puis Soisel qui a commencé Myers-Bridge et puis il a allé et puis il a abonné et il a fini à sous la pont Piaille River vous savez un pile c'est constituency à qui ni en cette liste la rivière qui a deux bouts et bien qui a commencé il y a un bout bon et puis il a fini face à la rivière so après ça on a la bout so question c'est est-ce Bradley a fait assez il nous a en opposition est-ce qu'il a fait assez pour ça gagner c'est ça bypass Flabo et bien est-ce que qu'il faut là et puis parole il a parlé est-ce que il a dit assez by moun pour moun qui si by la chose pour ça monter et puis pour ça guerre by partisan les on est des jeunes hommes qui sortis soit mais après tous les derniers bon intention les venir pour parti politics à Soisel so des gens qui sortent là ils ont travaillé Bradley Felix Flex qui fait tout le temps un secteur bac et puis on Kiefer Charles qui demande qu'il travaille et puis le select à temps passé.
Very interesting, and I think from my interactions with Sozelians really appreciate each other. So I think it was very strategic to have a person from Sozel going up as a person from Sozel, especially in these times. I think a lot of the young people from Sozel appreciate and have that community camaraderie where they recognize each other and see each other in spaces. So again, it's going to be interesting what obtains in Sozel. You have the incumbent who was able to retain his seat even with a national swing against the UWP in the 2021 election. So by no means of the wood is Bradley Felix an easy candidate to lose his seat, but we're going to see whether his work over the last helps him to retain that seat. We're moving on to Labrie, the Republic of Labrie, which is it's popularly known as, and the incumbent representing on the St. Lucia Labour Party, we have Alva Baptiste, who's a senior politician, but prior to politics, Baptiste saw himself as an aviation and transport expert who has a master's in air transport management. And up against Mr. Baptiste, you have newcomer Laura Japierre under the Party. Ms. Japierre is an entrepreneur specializing in marketing and possesses professional qualifications in business administration. Labrie is one of those seats that is known to be a SLP stronghold for the last 35 years. That's at least cycles Labrie has voted Labour. And I think ever since the 64, only when Labrie and Vieux Fort were joined, did the UWP ever see representation of themselves in Labrie. Ever since then, Labrie has not switched colors. That would be very interesting to see whether we continue that trend in Labrie of it maintaining itself as a Labour Party stronghold, or we see surprises, which we expect to happen in this election, happen. Henix, what are you thinking? Will Labrie stay red, or will we see for the first time since 64?
Intéressant, on est Alva Baptiste qui a monté papa Djibouya qui a créé Thibaudier Labouya. Elle connaît Laura Romania, Jean-Pierre, ils ont donné à so on est roman.
Imagine that.
Alva c'est un nom que je connais assez bien. Moi aussi connais Laura assez bien. Ça c'est des gens que je connais assez bien. Et puis, question c'est ça. Alva, c'est le ministre qui est responsabilité pour étranger, aviation civile, et puis c'est le barrage et pour Laura, pour savoir, Laura et puis la famille, il y a un business en Labourie, et puis c'est barrage là dedans, moi ça Laura, et puis quand et puis Cots, et puis divers c'est barrage là. À date, il était un programme sur télévision, WhatsApp with Laura, et puis des fois, moi j'étais allé à ce programme ça là, et puis Laura. Et puis, là, nous regardons l'histoire, élection, ici, côté Labouye. Labouye, c'est en force par partisans l'étoile. Et puis, pourquoi qui ça a changé en pièce qui pour venir, peut-être pas élection ça là. Laura peut-être qu'il goumé, un bon goumé, mais moi, Laura qu'il bat Thibaudier Labouye. Parce qu'on sait, tradition, c'est côté Labouye, partisan l'étoile, il faut là un peu. Et puis, moi, côté Sakai a changé pièce. Celle-là, en part, celle-là, c'est un gouvernement. Et puis, la tienne représentation qui sortit Labouye, c'est les snacks. C'est quitté partisan les bas, et venu flambeau. Mais après ça, il vient monter, et puis il perd.
Yes. Again, Labrie, the only time Labrie saw representation and the United Workers' Party was in 64. And when in what year did Neville Stark cross the floor?
I think it was the 1982.
1982. Okay, when Neville Stark crossed the floor and then went into the United Workers Party. But Labrie has been a stronghold of the Red Party. Moving on to Vieux Fort South, and Vieux Fort South is another interesting seat. We see 4 candidates going up for representation of Vieux Fort South. First, we have the independent candidate, and Henix, could you help me with the pronunciation? Choix.
Yes.
Choix.
C-H-O-A-X, Choix.
Interesting. That must be a French name, is it?
Moi, je sais Choix. Oui, Choix.
Yes, Choix.
Français.
Okay, Choix Melchior. Melchior. Yes, and Mr. Melchior sees himself as a business owner. I could not find exactly which business or what the business is, but
parce que moi, je décabre des camotons, na vente viande, moi c'est un non business tout ça.
Well, yes, true. That's true.
Ma commence à regarder. Moi, c'est un business.
Yes, he's
Mais
a business.
n'a bien cabrit. Mais un business qui n'a fait la légitime.
Once you have any type of business, you could consider yourself a businessman. All right. Underneath the St. Lucia Labour Party, we see newcomer to elective politics, but not newcomer into the political environment any at all, Mr. Danny Butcher, who is a teacher by profession and possesses a master's in education. I think I did come across an article that said Danny Butcher was also one of the campaign managers for Dr. Anthony, who previously held on to the Beaufort South seat and, of course, previously Prime Minister of St. Lucia. Underneath the UWP banner, we have Liana Johannes Paul, also known as Lady Lee, a very popular seasoned radio personality, and who is currently pursuing a bachelor's in public health. And finally, and I think this candidate is a very interesting candidate to me, and I'm looking forward to see how he turns out in this election. We have David Troy Charles, or popularly known as Appa, from Beaufort South. Mr. Appa is a businessman and very popular social media personality who did say, now, Henix, I remember you were saying that Appa is considering himself to be a candidate and going up for election, but I never took it that seriously, Henix, because I'm like, no, Henix, you're doing too much. I didn't believe you at the time, and when I saw the gentleman's video come out and he's saying that he has officially deposited his $500.
Richard Bakopano.
I mean,
Ça
something serious.
Depuis un commencement, à part de comme ça, il s'est monté indépendamment de fort parce que il faut bouger un monde pour avoir une bonne qualité de représentation. Et puis donc comme ça, Kenny là pour 28 l'année et Kenny pas rien de fort. Et puis il donc comme ça, Danny Butcher qui replacer Kenny Anthony. Et puis Danny Butcher c'est un continuousement.
It's the succession plan.
Et puis, Danny, quand on donner par des pièces qualité plan. Et puis, l'année aussi, Lady Lee, Liana Eva Johannes Paul, tout le monde connaît Lady Lee. Nous travaillons ici à Hot FM ensemble. Et moi, voulais souhaiter Lady Lee toute qualité succès. Et puis aussi, l'année choix Melchior. Et quand très intéressant pour regarder qui ça a, moment je dis AFA, ça qui veut dire, qui ça APA, qu'il fait.
David Troy Charles.
APA. Qui ça qu'il fait? Qui vote et qu'il joue? Parce que dans ça, manière APA te parler. Là, il y a plus de monde qui croit en ça APA te dit. Bon, en ce temps qui passé à plus peut-être 2-3 mois qui passé, APA te parler à sous façade flambeau parce que en plus ce bail là Philippe Pierre te dit te fait il parle à sous bail à l'hôpital et puis parler à sous manière la pas de pièce développement regarder manière foyer il va pas de pièce développement regarder agrément gouvernement CIE et puis GPH vieux fort pendant dans bagaille ça la pièce et puis comme ça c'est monde qui te dit et bien comment se faire rien by vieux fort c'était Alain Chaste so il a dit comme ça il a pris ces mieux monde aller voter by Lady Lee parce que aller voter by Danny Butcher parce que Danny Butcher pas qu'à faire rien même quand Kenny pas fait rien by vieux fort moi quoi si ça là aussi ça c'est pour nous garder. Maka dit oui à la guerre. Ça, moi qui a supporté partisan les bas dans les cas préservé juste ça. Moi qui a supporté partisan quand comme ça Lady Lee a fait un pile travail, il a parlé en langage côté un pile monde qui comprendre ça il a dit. Aussi ça c'est la première fois que la caïne en femme qui a monté pour bailler fort représentation. So peut-être nous regarder nous avons peut-être Lady Lee peut-être qu'il ces femmes là c'est madame côté hier et puis il c'est flambeau mais il est intéressant à regarder qui ça Danny Butcher, qu'il fait, est-ce que Kenny a fait assez pour ça, pour mon là, qui replacer, Danny Butcher a fait assez, et bien, est-ce que Lady Lee, j'ai parlé à ces paroles, j'ai parlé ces paroles-là pour mon ton, est-ce qu'il a dit ça, mon vleton, pour ça venir bailler fort qualité représentation, yo vleni parce que yo ka comme ça. Kenny, il très vieux fort. Kenny pas fait rien qui là qu'est-ce rien significance bailler vieux fort. Et puis cadeau ça. Et ça, yo signé voter by partisan flambeau passer partisan les bas.
What about Mr. Melkwa?
Même pas Melkwa, Melchor, même pas combien fois moi jeune homme là, c'est ma avant about monsieur ça là, m'a dit rien j'ai assoyi.
Okay, noted. And okay, very interesting to see the candidates who have brought themselves forward for Vieux-Fort South, and especially the independent candidates. So we're looking at Vieux-Fort South to see what the outcome of that election, and especially for the outcome of those two independent candidates in there. Moving on, we have Vieux-Fort North. Vieux-Fort North sees the traditional route of only having two candidates. Under the UWP tickets, you have Calix Xavier, also known as Kakal, who's a veteran police officer and soca artist in his life before politics. And running up against him, we have the incumbent, the SLP candidate, Moses Jean-Baptiste, who, of course, is a senior politician and life before politics was a principal/school teacher inside Vieux-Fort North. Vieux-Fort North, again, is one of those Labour Party strongholds. We've seen it over at least 7 election cycles, voting in one color. But word on the ground is that, you know, Kakal is pulling very heavy weights and might be a strong contender in these elections. So all eyes on Vieux-Fort North. Any words on Vieux-Fort North? What have you been hearing, Henix?
Moi, quand Kakal a fait un pile, il a parlé bonne parole, mais ma croix, là, nous regardons toi, l'histoire, Vieux-Fort Nord, c'est Vieux-Fort Nord, et puis là-bas, c'est côté les partisans, les bas plus fort. Et puis, moi, qui Kakal a fait un pile, mais ma croix, nous avons un pièce changement, côté, voyez, Moses qui c'est ministre qui est responsabilité pour santé Guadeloupe et puis santé puis affaires Guadeloupe. Moi pas quoi qui Kakal Calix Xavier Kaigay il kay venir pour moi quoi qui en toutes ces moi ça y est en tous ces candidats qui a monté cote en moun en Vieux-Fort Nord, moi crois Kakal qui a fait primaire et puis moi crois qui Kakal peut-être Moussa Kakal pas peut-être 200 yosa et check avec 200 moi crois qu'il y a 600 comme la côté moi crois peut-être pas peut-être 250 moins que 300 votes. Vous ne pouvez pas oublier les cafés Neve, nous avons ouvert ligne là, et puis vous savez, moi, c'est 450 0777 450 0777. Les cafés 5 minutes après Neve, nous avons ouvert pour sauver les couillers, pour ça parler à ces candidats pour ces diverses constituencies, et aussi, vous savez, nous qui couillers. Et puis qui partisan, et bien qui moun là, parce qu'elle a dit indépendant, qui moun quoi qui a gagné l'élection qui a venu le 1er décembre. Et puis peut-être, quand ça a servi ça dans l'élection, c'est ça qui a venu, j'ai dit, peut-être si vous voulez dire, il y a des mots paroles là sur l'élection, c'est ça, ou ça aussi fait ça.
And of course, like Henrik said, we're about to open the phone line, so we're looking for tell us about what are you thinking of the candidates, and looking forward to hearing what to say and share. But first, before we open the phone lines, we're just going to take a short break. Hold that dial. We want to hear from you, and we want to discuss the candidates. And also, if you want to discuss SVG elections, which is 2 days away, whether we're going to see the incoming of Dr. Goodwin, or will we see the incoming of Ralph Gonzalez. So stay tuned, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. This is Election Countdown. You are with Rejan and Henix.
St. Lucia. Hot 7 TV was the first to bring you a full HD newscast. Now, another first. Hot 7 Nightly News is now your first newscast for the evening in St. Lucia. You're right. The Hot 7 Nightly News is now at 7:15. Yes, tune in at 6:45 p.m. and be the first to catch the latest happenings in your world. On the run, on your cell phone or tablet, via the Correct FM app. Trust objective journalism from our diligent team. Get it hot. The Hot 7 News now at 7:15 on channel 117 on Flow, channel 7 Plug and Play, or follow us on Facebook Live on Caribbean Hot 7 TV.
From your desk to your lunch table, whether on the job or taking a well-deserved break, get the top stories and breaking news all in one place. Monday to Friday at 12 p.m. for Hot 7 Midday News, bringing you the latest headlines from St. Lucia and around the region. Stay connected, stay informed, only on Hot 7 TV.
Did you know you're busy with your day? Important news is breaking around you, from politics to weather updates, community stories, and breaking news. Hot 7 TV keeps you with news every hour on the hour. With at hand. Stay ahead, stay informed with Hot 7 TV St. Lucia. News on the hour. Stay updated wherever you are. Hot 7 TV St. Lucia's news every hour on the air, on our mobile app, and on our website.
Looking for the best way to advertise? Stop. Hot 7 TV gives you more reach, more impact, and more value. Get your business in front of the right audience. Watch your sales soar. Don't miss. Call 4040 and take advantage of our exclusive advertise packages. Hot 7 TV, smart advertising for smart businesses.
Now you can take Hot FM, Kiss FM, Hot 7 TV with you wherever you go. Whether you're in St. Lucia or exploring our forecourt of the globe. Our record-breaking app loaded over 500,000 times play and the Apple App Store. To bring the best in HD sound, we've got a brand new app. Get it for free in the app. Simply say Caribbean Hot FM HD. Listen to us in real time, anywhere, any place, anytime. We've got cool new features like a live in-studio option. You can see your favorite announcers and DJs at work. So download the app today. It's free. Snooze is now 80 around the world on Hot FM app. Don't miss out. Join the fun and stay connected.
And welcome back to Election Countdown. You are with me, Rejan Wanted, alongside my co-host Joseph. And of course, you could tune into Election Countdown every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The broadcast will be simulcast on Hot 7 TV and Kiss FM. You could also tune in and watch us on Flow Channel 117, Kiss FM, the Caribbean Hot TV HD app, the Caribbean Hot TV Facebook page, and the Hot 7 TV Plug and Play digital antenna. We will be with you tomorrow and Thursday for the last episode of Election Countdown. So you want to stay in tune with what's happening with elections. Right now we're going through the different candidates, highlighting to you what they bring to the table, who are they a bit into their character, and of course touching a bit on each constituency in terms of voter trends and what we've been seeing. We just discussed Beaufort North, and now we're going into Micoud South. All right, and for the United Worker Party, we see the previous Prime Minister and incumbent Alan Chastanet. Alan Chastanet sees his life before politics as a hotelier and business owner, and has a master's degree in development banking. Going up against Mr. Chastanet, we have on the SLP or St. Lucia Labour Party ticket, we have Chandra Lee Haraksingh, who is a medical doctor by profession and of course possesses a degree in medicine and biochemistry. Miku South. What are your thoughts generally on Miku South and of course the incumbent and the opponent?
Miku Sud Miku ça c'est un côté qui partisan Flabo toujours fort. C'est un seul fois partisan Flabo me perd côté où tenir trois mots, ni Asen James, où tenir Cassila c'est pour tenir maman Shanda Haraksin. Et puis c'est celle-là où tenir trois mots te gagne. Mais donc tu regardes de ces gens qui fait des oppositions qui étaient des plus votes parce que Cassilas, mais ou pas de ça bêter deux ensemble, so Cassilas c'est celle-là, Cassilas jamais celle côté les bas jamais gagne c'est ça là. Et puis mon cas quoi qui Alain Chastanet a fait assez comme premier ministre. Et puis même parlement pour Miku Sud, je crois qu'il y a vie chez BC. Chandali Haraksin, ça me attend moun ka dit qui il pas un candidat, il pas un moun qui très populaire et puis c'est moun là. Manière il pas un moun qui là et puis c'est docteur médical. Dit manière il comporte quoi, c'est moun pas j'ai content. Manière il comporte quoi. Je crois qu'il a fait assez bien. Et bien, là, je dis assez bien. Il a un pile vote. Il a voté Bali. Parce que je me rappelle qu'il rend en femme. Et puis aussi un jeune monde. Pour moi, il a ces moun ça là, jeune monde. Et puis femme aussi. Mais je me rappelle qu'il Alain Chastanet, manière partisan, ça toujours fort. Partisan Flambeau toujours fort Miku Sud, je crois que moun kay wete et puis Miku Sud, je crois que ça c'est un autre site. Je crois que Alain Chastanet TB site ça là, il va aller de côté.
I would most certainly agree. But something interesting, and I just wanted to highlight, I forgot to even talk about nomination day and some of the interesting fanatics that we saw happening on nomination day. I found it interesting that Dr. Chandra Lee Singh came to nomination day in her medical wear, in her scrubs.
In her scrubs.
Of course, paying her respects to her profession. I found that was very interesting and different. And a nomination day we saw was filled with a lot of fanfare, a lot of...
Mais là, d'autres qui fait là, les affaires de nomination, ça là, pour dépasser, moi, pas très plaît, et puis, quand on est jeune maman à l'école là, manière problème, et puis c'est l'école là, bon chemin, ou venez, ou mener au sorti dehors, pour y voir qui ça qui a aller. Mais les affaires, ils ont flag, ils ont drapeau, ils ont parasol, c'est couleur. C'est supposé faire. Vous venez tout ça qui a passé, vous avez clapé, mais pas venir dire SLP, et bien flambeau, non. C'est là, tu es supposé là, et puis qu'à garder, parce que il est important pour ces moments-là, ouais, qui ça a fait, avec manière barrée qu'à aller. Et puis l'autre matière, matière aussi. L'autre, c'est le cadeau, l'autre a passé bon, pièce caille, l'école, l'église, l'hôpital, pièce c'est côté ça là. Et c'est en place Silas. Et puis, ça fait que ces musiques qui ont bon l'école, bon l'église, bon l'hôpital, ça l'a parti, bon pièce. Et puis, je dis que c'est moun ça là, c'est candidat, ils partent des pièces, ils partent porter. Et quand je dis ça, je dis ça sans faveur. Et puis, c'est pas, je ne parler en faveur Flambeau, et bien en faveur les bas, l'on casse loi, l'on fait ça qui n'est pas bon, ou fait ça qui n'est pas bon. Et puis ça, nous ne pouvons pas respecter la loi qu'a dit parce que vous voulez encore électé en politique et puis vous supposez qu'à chaîne loi et puis loi là bon l'école c'est quoi ça là vous avez joué qualité musique ça là autrefois vous êtes supposé ouais ça et puis 10 monde comme ça pour ABC musique là pas jouer autrefois parce que ça c'est en place l'école même si la tenait Adam Mike qui était dehors mais la tenait secrétaire dedans. C'est maman qui a marché l'examen. Parce que fait tous des autres ça là, ou tu as distribué ces mamans là. Ces mamans là qui a essayé d'écrire l'examen. Tout c'est boum, ça a fait comme ça. Peut-être, pas j'ai fait ça, ça a affecté C'est après ça, mon parti très plein et puis ça à pièce.
And I totally agree. But let's just go on to that call. Let's take that call right now. Caller, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Henix and your co-host.
Bonsoir.
Good evening, you.
Yeah, let me inform the co-host that from since 1997, Soufre have been labor for 4 terms.
Yeah? Where's that?
Soufre,
Soufre.
97, 01. 97 and 01 was, what's his name? But Dalso was 11, 06 and 11. And the one who is contesting now against Emma, he only break that cycle in 2016.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, where are you calling from, please?
At the moment, I'm calling from Rosalie.
Rosalie, okay.
So I just want your co-host to... And you said that the candidate for Brie, when he crossed the floor, that was in 1987 and not 1982.
87, okay. Subject to yes, you're correct. 87, because that's when you had the 2 elections in 87. Thank you for that observation.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much.
But let me ask you though, before you leave, qui laisse partisan ou qui élection et puis ou soit Gozlé ou qui voter Gozlé, qui laisse à des membres là ou quoi qui
Avant de se c'est opinion moun. Avant de se c'est opinion moun, not until election day. Whatever ça qui dit c'est opinion moun.
Oui, c'est opinion là mais oui qui laisse quoi opinion ou quoi qui laisse quoi qui gagne opinion là mais opinion ma dit c'est ça ou dit
ça me ka ouais comprendre il garde le gouvernement qui là il reste là.
Il reste là. OK.
C'est ça moi observé.
OK.
Merci un peu les pays. Bonsoir. OK.
All right then.
Okay, thank you for that clarification and correction on that note.
Yeah, because we 1987 latine des élections a vu et puis ça c'est en deuxième là ça c'est les snacks de I can't take it more baby. Et puis là il m'a expliqué à m'a dit ça va faire IDP speaker en voter me passe après la voler encore et puis moi ka quitter vieux nom ça là moi ka aller joindre John Compton.
Interesting stuff to have happened in our political history, isn't it? And now we're moving on. We're moving on to Micoud North, which is one of my seats to watch. We have 3 candidates contesting the Micoud North seat. First up, we have underneath the St. Lucia Labour Party, we have the incumbent Jeremiah Norbert. Jeremiah Norbert, prior to politics, saw himself a police officer, and he is pursuing a bachelor's in political science.
Il profite toujours?
I did not get the notification of that, so I would assume that it is still going on. Of course, up for correction on that, but that is the last note that I received in my research. Then we have independent candidates. Very interesting person, I must say, Marius Wilson. Marius Wilson, prior to politics, saw himself as an attorney. And also, very interestingly on Marius Wilson that we saw in 2021, he actually for the Micoud North seat, but under the United Workers' Party. Not 2021, sorry, 2001. Yes, and that he did. And also, interestingly, again, earlier this year, we saw Marius Wilson actually pledging his support towards Jeremiah Norbert. That was in about May of this year. Now we're seeing a shift from support into him declaring himself as an independent candidate. Again, very interesting dynamics here. And then we have the United Workers' Party candidate, who is also the St. Lucia Labour Party candidate. We have Mr. Elisha Norbert. Elisha Norbert, prior to politics, was a teacher and business owner, and he also possesses a master's in education. So Micoud North, here are the 3 candidates. Henix, what is your take on those 3 candidates?
Nord, on est Jeremiah Nobot, il fait l'histoire côté, il gagne Dr. Gail Regobot, et ça c'est la première fois qu'il partisan Léba, gagne ça là. Et puis on est Elisha Nobot, qui c'est cousin, et c'est Kamouté, by partisan Flambeau. Et pour nous, Marius, et puis quand on regarde Marius Wilson, il était supporté Jeremiah Nobot. En d'autres l'année qui passée, Marius était un candidat by partisan Flambeau, et monté, et puis il gagne. Mais actuellement, nous avons monté indépendant. Et puis aussi, plus bon est en mois ça là, nous côté il était à cette plateforme, et puis Stanley Felix.
Oh, interesting.
Oui, il était à cette plateforme, et puis Stanley Felix. Bon, je crois un site ça là, je crois que Elisha, qui est pour ses partisans.
Yes, because Mikunov has traditionally been a United Workers' Party stronghold. It's in the last election did we see that turning for the first time in St. Lucia's political history. So it is a very interesting seat. Now again, political strategy on that seat as well. When the seat was obtained by Jeremiah Nobot, we did see the Philip JP administration being very strategic to allow Jeremiah to remain just as a rep and work within that constituency. I think it was very strategic to not give him a ministry just as yet, but to allow him to work the ground. Yes. This is my views from what I'm seeing. It was a purposeful effort to allow him to work the ground and really keep that seat that has been traditionally in all its lifetime, in all its existence.
Nous savons un peu le monde dit que ça, Premier ministre Philippe Jepier dérespecte Mikou et puis Jeremiah Nobot. Parce que, on a fait histoire, ça c'est la première fois que monde gagne site Flambeau, c'est ça, c'est toujours Flambeau. Et puis, on est là, ou pas bail un ministre, on est là comme ça, rien pas qu'à faire. L'autre monde qui pas gourmet, mais les venir ou bail un ministre. Et puis, les gens parlent, ou venir ou bail un ministre qui c'est pour du bout de crime, et puis les gens qui sont déshabiles, et puis il y a comme ça, qui ça et ça, ou accorder ou de respecter nous jamais coup, et puis, l'on bail ministre là, ou pas bail pièce, moun pour travailler, et puis, ou bail office, un secrétaire permanent, et puis, un moun, et puis c'est pas rien, ou bail, qui ministre là, bail, qui ça, il ça fait, bail me coup, et puis, un chaque jamais coup, il parti plaît. Et puis ça, il y a ça, premier ministre, il déteste jamais coup. Et puis, moi, je crois que c'est ça là, qu'il pour partisan.
I think as well it would turn over and maintain its history as a Flambeau seat. But I think somewhere within the political strategy, it may have been a strategic effort to try to maintain that Mikunov seat. Again, we want to remind our callers, our phone lines are open. Our number is 450-027. And you could also send us a WhatsApp message at 284-3499. Our phone lines are open for your calls. You could give us your election take, your predictions, which candidate to you is the better candidate in any of the constituencies, or who is your favorite candidate overall? We want to hear from you. Remember, our phone lines are open. But yes, back to Mikunov. I would agree with anything that it is a seat that will go back to the United Workers' Party. However, election is on the day, and I do not underestimate any candidate, especially within these times. So you never know.
La vérité, oui. Pas jamais ça qu'est-ce qu'a fait. Parce que la question c'est, est-ce que Jeremiah a fait assez pour Issa? Je vais citer ça, by partisan. Les barres ça, c'est ça l'assassin qui était toujours fort, by là. So, qui ça il a fait? Est-ce qu'il a fait assez? Qui manière mon qui comporté? Les vini pour les 1er décembre, côté nos caïni élection. Est-ce que Jeremiah a fait assez? Eh bien, est-ce que Elisha a précisé ça la vie?
Right. And now we're moving along. Only a few more constituencies left, but we are now at Dennery South. And Dennery South is taking the traditional route where we only see two candidates. representing the St. Lucia Labour Party, we have Alfred Prosper, who is the incumbent. Prior to politics, Alfred Prosper saw himself as the Chief Forestry Officer and the Ministry of Agriculture, public servant. And we have underneath the United Workers' Party, we have Benson Emil, who's a former PS and long career public servant as well. Very interesting to see the dynamic of what's going down in Dennery South. Dennery South, in my opinion, I've seen a lot of the support towards Benson Emil within Dennery South, which is very interesting, knowing that the incumbent has been working within the constituency, as those would put it. Henix, what have you heard on the ground in terms of Benson Emil versus Alfred Prosper?
Eh bien, là, des candidats qui sont là pour Dennery South, ça c'est Alfred Prosper. C'est lui qui c'était ministre pour agricole, pêche, développement, et puis c'est Baptiste Sala, sécurité manger, et puis on est Benson Emil. Et puis, là, nous regardons Benson Emil et puis Alfred à la dernière élection. Hein. Benson Emil, Alfred Guerre, c'était chairman council là. Et puis, nous avons actuellement ici un candidat. Et puis, ça, M. Emil, tu as dit que ça, ce n'est pas lui qui dit qu'il voulait monter. Mais c'est mon qui est là, qui vient et que dit Benson, nous voulons monter pour politique. Et puis, je regardez manière bagaille qu'a aller. Je regarde son Dennery. Et puis, je regarde manière c'est mon cas comporter quoi yo, ça yo qu'a fait. Et puis, c'est bagaille ça là. Je crois que ça c'est yon et puis ça marche pas de guerre par un chat vote. Et puis, quoi qui Benson Emil qui gagne c'est ça by partisan Flavo.
Very interesting.
Benson
I think it's going Ben then.
Ben for the
Very interesting play on words there. I like that. I think that's one of my more favorite slogans. It has a nice ring to it. I get a very cool campaign also going down there. Then we're coming up to Dennery North, and whew, that one is a fire seat, Henix, I must tell you.
Ça chaud tellement, n'a pas être aglo. Ça sous différent pour être aglo.
It is on a lot. Many of my political enthusiasts, election enthusiasts, has also highlighted it as a very hot seat. We have underneath the United Workers' Party, Bradley Fulgence. Although I did much information on Bradley Fulgence's background, do you know what he did prior to politics?
Bradley était travaillé pour Cage. C'était un manager regional, regional manager for Cage.
Nice.
Il était tout partout. So, ça c'est mon qui c'est machine pour aller jouer et puis c'est by ça. Et c'est by ça. Il était travaillé en région et c'est un manager pour région.
Interesting, very nice. And then we have for the St. Lucia Labour Party, we have the incumbent Sean Edward, who saw it prior to politics as a teacher, and he also possesses a master's, but I could not in the research figure exactly in what.
C'est education.
Education?
Oui.
Okay, very interesting. And we say Dennery North is a very interesting seat because we're seeing on the ground there, and I happen to have gone there sometime last week before that. Both camps are very well and alive in Dennery North. We have and I think the tradition, Henix, you were speaking to the time last week of Dennery North, where the persons they politic a bit different down there in Dennery. I must say that you see a lot of walking, a lot of active campaigning to rally and canvass and patrol the streets to show their strength. Show their stronghold, show their numbers on both sides of the camp. So that Dennery North seat is a seat most definitely to keep in mind and look out for on election day, to see whether the incumbent, who has been there for the last 3 cycles, if I'm not mistaken, can do a 4th term, which would make him what, a 4-star general, if he is able to do that? Or will we see the rise of Bradley Fulgens taking over that seat? What are your thoughts, Henrik? This one is hot one.
Eh bien, nous avons des candidats qui sont là pour Denry Nord, nous Bradley Marcel Fulgens, quand il m'a dit, il était qu'à travailler, et puis Cage, à temps passé, et puis nous Sean Edwards, c'est lui qui ministre éducation pour actuellement un partisan Léba. Et puis, il est très intéressant à Denry Nord, parce que l'on regarde des manières barricades, on dit qu'on regarde, on regarde Sean ni Kamaché. Et puis, il y a l'atelier mondial. Demain, Père Bradley a passé. Et puis, même il y a l'atelier mondial. Ça, c'est un mot qui résultat ça là très intéressant. Et puis, moi pas ça, ça really prédicté d'où c'est Bradley et bien Sean, parce que l'on regarde, à quoi dire tous les deux, il y a pile monde qui là, et puis un pile monde. Et puis, ça, c'est les bars qui parlent Fortin de Radio. Ça, Bradley passe à jamais gagné. Mais c'est Florado, Sean, pour qu'on fasse assez de travail. Et puis c'est Bradley nous voulons, Bradley nous qui mettait. Et puis ben là, c'est un secrétaire qui était, il y a un secrétaire qui est plus fort. Commune côté les bars, ça c'est côté Bradley sorti. Et puis en pile, c'est moun qui là, il a supporté Bradley. Là, regardez, Sean te gagne par 260, 65, 260, en bas comme ça. Et puis quand ça, Bradley a fait assez. Et puis Bradley n'est assez, Bradley populaire assez pour ça gagne Sean. Et puis, ça c'est qui est très intéressant pour nous regarder qui côté ça là, Kayale. Est-ce que Sean Boy connaît papa du bois Kadi? Est-ce que Sean Kay vie grand c'est ça là partisan? Est-ce que Bradley a fait ce travail? Est-ce que parole là est parler? Est-ce que les flambeaux parler? Est-ce mon cas coûter ça pour élection? Bon. Le jeune homme qui est très intéressant aussi. L'année de toi avertissement à sur télévision et puis radio. Et puis, au cas où laisser moun ça parler, et puis au cas où qui ça yo ka dit, manière yo ka parler, au cas où qui ça c'est ministre là, au cas où accord yo ka jeune. Sur l'autre Bradley parler, il ka parler sur qui ça partisan de l'élection, ça yo ka faire sur cas où qui accordé Bradley c'est agricole. L'autre côté, parce que les Benson, en 2008, c'était secrétaire permanent en ministre santé. So, l'autre temps de parler, au cas où il a parlé à sous affaires santé. Lady Lee, il a parlé à sous bagaille pour femmes, et puis c'est bagaille ça là. L'autre temps, Tommy parler, au cas où Tommy a parlé à sous finance. L'autre côté, Titus parlait. Titus a parlé sur affaires commerce, affaires puis bagaille gaz, puis c'est bagaille ça là. So, l'autre côté, ça diverses ça parler au cas où qui c'est ça là, si partisans, flambeau élection. En pile c'est mon ça là, c'est divers ministres là. You can ministre, c'est divers ministres là.
And that's very true. You could also see, based on how the candidates present their hitting points or their talking points rather, you could already see a cabinet starting to build just based on the areas they choose to focus on and what part of their manifestos that they are presenting. And of course, we're looking forward diving into the 2 manifestos on tomorrow's episode. The United Workers' Party, of course, having already launched their manifesto, and tonight as we speak, the St. Lucia Labour Party launching their manifesto. So we're looking forward to doing that deep dive into that. And finally, we have and we have the clip right here on what's going on. VG, on the SAB at VG, we have the manifesto launch. Yes, and actually we were just into Castries Southeast, which is very interesting. So we are also seeing social protection, a nation that cares. So interesting to see that. I guess this would be a counter to the national insurance that the United Party seeks to propose. So of course, very interesting, the election. and how the parties will be pitching forward their programs, their policies and ideas if they would become the new government or the new administration to run the government of St. Lucia. And as I said, we were going into our final constituency for the evening, Castries Southeast. And we have going up on the ticket for the St. Lucia Labour Party, Miss Lisa Joyer, who is a communications professional and also holds a master's in strategic communication.
Society.
As far as what's out there on the internet for the research.
Normally, c'est Madi Pani, Mary Sayuri. Okay, Pani.
Okay, yes. And we have for the United Workers' Party, we have, of course, senior politician Guy Joseph, who saw himself, and he holds a master's in business administration. And that would be the two candidates who are running for the Castries South seat. And of course, it will be a very interesting seat because prior to, I would say, the 2021 election, we had the previous candidate was Joachim Henry, and we saw him being replaced in this election season by Lisa to run against Guy Joseph. So we're seeing very strategic play happening in Castries South. And also we saw another replacement happening in Babono, where the incumbent Virginia Albert was replaced by John Paul Estefan. So we're seeing the Labour Party changing candidates, incumbent candidates, which is very interesting to see that happening, something that is not very common, especially when the candidate is the incumbent and won their seats, to see them being changed. So that is a very interesting dynamic overall. Some overall thoughts on all the candidates as well. We're seeing, like I said, mentioned earlier, a lot of qualified professionals who are coming from a very diverse background of fields and professions. I think that is a positive to our candidacies, that we're seeing not just persons from one profession, persons from one background, but we're seeing individuals stemming from a diverse range of professions who want to put themselves forward into St. Lucian politics and make a contribution. I think very importantly to note that only out of the 45 candidates, only 11 are female. Which is something that is saddening for especially for a country like St. Lucia, where I think the World Economic Forum noted St. Lucia as one of, I think, in the top 3 countries where a woman is more than likely to be your boss or manager. However, we don't see that transition of women leadership and women empowerment happening within our political space. And that is very concerning as well, because representation needs to be diverse. Representation needs to be open, so that we could get, of course, policies passing that would affect, the policies that pass have to affect everyone. And also women, it's like 52% of St. Lucia's population is predominantly women, so it's a concern. Although we're seeing the women breaking the sectors, breaking the banking sector, breaking the legal profession, I think and breaking many other professions. We're seeing also truck drivers, heavy equipment operators as women. But in terms of our politicians sitting in the House of Assembly, we do not see that reflection happening. 11 out of 45 makes it a little over 20%, so about 20 to 25% of our candidates alone being women, and it's even lesser so when we have the House of Assembly and how many women actually make it past the polls to actually represent. And if I'm not mistaken, but in St. Lucia's political history, I think the woman that stands as the or having served the longest tenure is Sarah Flood Bobra, who ran in the 21.
Yeah, she would have the 3 terms. I think we have a call. Good evening.
We have a caller?
Bonsoir.
Caller, go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Oui, bonsoir. Good
Hi,
evening.
good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Rajat.
Good evening.
Good evening, Henrik.
Good evening.
Good evening. This is Gina Matthews, the Castries North candidate for the St. Lucia National Congress.
Welcome to Election Countdown. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. I must say, Rajan, it's wonderful to see a young person so able to articulate as well as you are doing, so familiar with our political environment and history. That's very good. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes. Henrik, how are you doing?
I am quite well, thank you. I'm a BMSC.
Okay. Listening to your show, I realized you were not able to identify me by my name, and I guess most persons aren't able to. Presently, I am Gina Matthew, but I know most persons are more familiar with my previous name, which was Gina Cornet.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
From a journalist.
Yes. And you and I actually worked together for some time at Communications. That's how I know you.
Yes.
Well, my qualifications are in mass media communication as well as management.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been in management for the past 10 years. Yes. I do. I was listening to your show. Very informative. I do wish we had a little more information on the various candidates going up contesting this election.
Yeah, that is a bit lacking.
Yes. Well, as was gazetted, the name of our party, I realized, was National Congress Party, but it's actually the St. Lucia National Congress. And I think many persons would remember that we first announced that I think it was in July that a third party was coming on the scene, and with the intention of contesting all 17 seats. It's a little, I don't want to say unfortunate, because it's a wonderful opportunity. We thank the persons who showed confidence in us and nominated us to be candidates, Dr. Andre Matthew and myself. We actually had 3 candidates. One was not successful with nomination, so it's the 2 of us. But we do see this opportunity, or this as an opportunity, to let the St. Lucian public know a little more about us and about our party. We also see it as an opportunity for youth involvement. And one of the things our party truly believes in is the power of the youth. And that's why I actually sat down and watched the entire show, because I was really impressed with Rajan. And it just goes to show much our youth can accomplish if we put the confidence in them and we give them the opportunities that they need to bloom and to blossom, because they really do have a lot to contribute to our country. And we believe that they should not be shut out of any sector or of any platform. Okay, so we're really a party for the youth, about the youth. And in this election, we were not able, due to hindrances that we faced through the electoral department, to come out with a full slate of candidates that we had already prepared to do. But we are still pushing forward. We still want to be the voice of the people. We still want to be the voice of the youth. And we still want to encourage our young people in St. Lucia not to feel discouraged in any way. And once the opportunity is available to them, to come out and shine and make a significant contribution as we know that they are able to do. Okay, so once again, it was really good listening to you, Rejan. Once again,
thank you. I
nice
appreciate
to
that.
speak with you, Henrik.
Pleasure is on mine.
Thank you so much.
Merci a peu.
Bye-bye.
Contribution. And again, that was Castries North candidate Gina Matthew, also known as, or better known as, previously known as Gina Corneille, long-standing journalist. Thank you for that call, and again clarification on that. I just want to highlight, though, very importantly, she highlighted youth involvement in our political dynamic, and I'm just going that just a little bit. But before doing so, I want to send a message to our candidates or the political parties to put out information on the candidates, because as much as I brought forward as much that I could have found on the different candidates, it was not by any means of the word an easy task.
La pani assez information asu se mouna qui ka présenter koyoko candidat élection l'année sala.
Yes, there are a lot of gaps in terms of candidates, your bios, your CVs, what have you done, what have been your contributions to St. Lucia, and I am fully aware that some of the candidates that I could not find anything about had meaningful contributions that they have done for St. Lucia in politics and before politics. So it is a responsibility, of course, of the candidate to put your bio, put out your list of accomplishments as an individual candidate so people can see, so people can read. And when productions such as Election Countdown is happening, that we can present you and what you bring to the table. Simple things such as just setting up your own Wikipedia page or your own website or even your own LinkedIn, which is a professional network. You put out your CV, or at bare minimal, just type it out on Facebook and click post, you know, and when people are doing their research, it will pop. Yeah. That's just to put out some information on you. But going back into the what Mistress Matthew would have brought across about youth involvement in the political dynamic, I think out of our candidates highlighted about 7 of them are under the age of 40, which again is even lower than the 11 we saw represented as females. So again, we want to see within our political dynamics more young people throwing their hat into the ring to set themselves as for candidates. Of course, we highlight a lot of the difficulties involved in that. Do we have another call?
Oui.
Let's call.
Bonsoir, bienvenue pour Election Countdown.
Hello?
Oui, boss.
Yes, she doesn't know.
Hi,
hello.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I thought you didn't know the Golden Dragon was online.
Golden Dragon, bonsoir, good night, how are you?
My brother, the crown CEO, my brother, long time no see, man. I need to see you and talk with you. Take my number down, 732-0078. 732-0078. I need to talk to you, my brother.
Okay,
so we in the silly season. Yeah? 732-0078.
Oui, pas de problème. I have it.
Golden Dragon.
Okay.
So my brother, you know, we in the silly season. And you know, my team, the People's Progressive Movement, should have been in the whole program of 18th. After Carnival, you know, Dragon, you're a madman. They will call that next year in March or April, about 3 months before July, where it's officially due. It's my brother, Honorable Philip JPF, taught me from 1 and 2. And I have been in touch with him, you know, intermittently over the last 10 years. And he's a very smart man. Philip JPF is one of the smartest politicians in the history of St. Louis. Very smart, very intelligent. And don't forget, he served for 15 years under a great man, a miracle man, Dr. Kenny. And he learned a lot from Dr. Kenny Anthony. And imagine the great man, Dr. Kenny Davis Anthony, wanted to put Ernest, call him Hell Air, some people call him Vol Air, but Hilaire. But anyway, so the Honorable Sir Kenny Anthony, I don't think he's Sir yet, but I'll make him a spoon. Sir Kenny Anthony wanted to put Ernest Hilaire to replace him as leader of the party and become prime minister. But the smartness, the wisdom and trickery of Honorable, I have to call him Sir Philip Joseph Pierre, put Hilaire aside, became leader, prime minister. It's going to be a difficult man to beat. But my brother, the CEO of Crownlands, I have said before, last week, that it's going to be a close election. A 9-8 or 8-1-8. And the one will be Stanley Felix. And by about 70%, the next Prime Minister of St. Lucia, the Honorable Stanley Felix. And I'm willing to bet anybody $5,000 that Stanley is the next Prime Minister of St. Lucia. And I'll tell you something, my brother, I've never been on a platform. Although I ran once before in 97, but I did town hall meetings. I've never been on a platform. And when Brafitt invited me to come on a platform, on his platform in 1997, I said, there's no Brafitt. You're not going to be on a platform. Why are you inviting me to come on your platform? When you were so known as the man that played football with your wife, Brafitt, eh? Played football with both legs. So how could you invite me to come on your platform when you should not be on a platform? So my brother, I just want to say to you, the CEO of Crownlands, that the next Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Honorable Stanley Felix. I thank you.
Merci un peu, Golden Dragon. Bon, où ça, side là, it was intéressant, Naido Pucci. Où ça, ni situation côté, où ça, ni recruit pour vous, et puis Stanley Kagek, Aswiz Central, et puis Kaidoke. So, vraiment, seulement, il y en a venu faire au Premier ministre. So, but regardez, il a tenu Philippe Pierre, Kenny, Philippe Pierre, Alan Chasley, Richard, et puis actuellement là il y a possibilité là il y a 5 différents hommes qui sont venus Premier ministre à cette ici.
So I am just very interested. You taking Dragon's bet? He said he bet in $5,000. Are you willing to take that?
Si ben $5,000 là-bas, je dis merci. Mais nous pas fini de parler à ce, nous pas été jet à ce programme là. Mais nous pas fini de parler à ce Castries Office au tennis et puis Guy. Et puis Guy qui a gagné ça là, trois coups, Joachim vini, Joachim bat l'élection. Et puis pour une raison et bien pour l'autre, nous tous savons qui raison mais nous pas personne pas dit côté qui yo tié Joachim et puis yo mettez Lisa. Bon, n'a tout ça Lisa ni en pile à ces jeunes moun et puis en chaque en ces rallye à regarder, Lisa ni en chaque à ces jeunes moun et puis Guy fort toujours et puis gagner c'est flambeau qui toujours beau yo là et puis gagne toujours c'est mon ça là un pile yo parti sorti voter dernière élection mais en chaque de OK ça fait nous kay sorti voter l'année ça là élection ça là bon ça kay il est très intéressant pour regarder parce que Joachim te gagné par 465 votes et bien 468 votes. Je ne sais pas, c'est 400 et check. Et puis, il est très intéressant. Regardez, si Guy a fait assez de travail pour qu'il vient entrer, et bien, est-ce Lisa, Joachim, ça Joachim fait, est-ce qu'il fait assez de travail pour qu'il amener Lisa, pour ça avancer Lisa? Et bien, est-ce que Joachim fait autant dommage? Est-ce qu'il fait un pile dommage qui il trop tard pour lui ça venir et puis pour ça c'est ça là moi quoi il très intéressant qui côté ça là aller et puis ça c'est aussi moi quoi que ça aller n'importe côté un pile mon cadeau lui ça kage la net pile mon cadeau gars kage ça c'est une nécessité même encore Denrinoff quoi que Castries Office ça c'est qui très intéressant pour garder si lui ça kage c'est ça là les gars ça c'est ça parce qu'on est de changer Joachim pour
And I think very interesting play there. What Lisa has to her benefit is that not only is she young, but she's female. And I think we were just speaking about women involvement in politics. I think Sarah Flood Bobra is the woman in St. Lucian politics who has the longest tenure. She has 2 consecutive terms and 1 term in 2020.
Oui, il fait débat.
I think it was the 01 and 06 election and then came back in 2016, however, underneath the United Workers' Party.
Melissa Rambali.
Yeah, right. Melissa serving too.
Nous y call. Bonsoir, bienvenue pour l'élection. Okay,
we lost the call. But yes, very interesting that we see in our St. Lucian dynamic, we have male politicians who are serving, going to be maybe 6-star generals and 4-star generals and 5-star generals. However, there's only been one female politician to serve in 3 non-consecutive tenures. So that is, of course, very alarming in our dynamic. And of course, to see, you know what's very interesting too, Henix, when you look at the political parties, both of them, the St. Lucia and the United Workers' Party, the canvassers, the persons who are organizing the rallies,
and
the
persons
and the women. The women are the foot soldiers.
Regardez en société nous ici. Regardez en chai sécurité maintenant. Regardez en pile c'est moun qui ka go office ici. En chai c'est femme. En pile yo. C'est femme.
So it is interesting for us to understand why is it that when we convert to the House of Assembly in particular and our politics that we are not seeing women becoming the front runners. I mean, the persons who are planning the manifesto launch are women. The persons who are, let's take that call.
Bonsoir.
Hey, Brother Henix, quickly. The beautiful lady, beautiful, intelligent lady next to you there. I don't know her name, but very intelligent, very beautiful woman. But she has a character on. She said the St. Lucia Labour Party. And I telling people, it is not the St. Lucia Labour Party. It is the Labour Party. LP. And when we go to vote, the ballot paper should say LP, Labour Party. This team does not represent all St. Lucians. They have the little 25 or 40%. They have no connection with government in terms of being a franchise with government or government aid. They should not be allowed to use St. Lucia. It is the Labour Party, the LP, and the ballot paper LP. I think tomorrow morning I'm going to put an injunction that the ballot paper must say LP, not SLP. They're not St. Lucian. They don't represent me and don't represent a lot of us. And they have no connection to government in terms of being a government partner, franchise, or government agency, or giving government millions of dollars to help our people. They have no right to use St. Lucia. That is the Labour Party. Thank you, beautiful lady. Correct yourself, please. Thank you very much. Next to talk.
Ok. Merci un peu. Bon, actuellement, nous avons venu pour nous faire pour nous appeler. Demain, oui, merci tout le monde qui était là, ça écouter, ça qui veut commission. Et puis, nous, on se rassemble l'année manifesto les bas, mais pour peut-être pour venir ici pour nous. Nous avons oui, merci un peu pour effort pour faire pour la et puis nous, pour ça, jeune et puis nous encore des morceaux à même là à 8h pour 10h pour election countdown. Rejan.
Yes, and just to wrap up what we've been talking about, so we did talk about all the 45 candidates to contest the St. Lucia general election. We looked at each individual candidate. Some few trends that we highlighted, about 11 women and 7 persons underneath the age of 40 will be contesting this election. Testing as candidates in this election season. We're looking forward to tomorrow's episode where we highlight the 2 manifestos. We go through them and compare and contrast the different promises of both parties. Of course, we want everybody to stay tuned on to Election Watch with Hot FM/Kiss FM with Facebook page and Hot 7 Plug and Play. Looking forward to tomorrow. This is Election Countdown with Rejan Montut and Henix Joseph.
Mr. H. Mokay tan mwen dem matin à 5 minutes pour 5 heures pour 7 heures pour à 10 jours. Henix Joseph, mwen te là.
7 TV is the rising star on television in St. Lucia. Without running 100%